probably Dustin Clark.
Okay. So
Brian Everett's. I mean, Doug is a close friend, though.
Close friend, but not a best friend.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you know, our group has been together forever. You know, we've all went in ebbs and flows and hanging out with one person more than another. You know.
How often would you say you hang out with Doug?
Twice a month, maybe.
Okay.
You know, I'll go over to his house, see him and Nikki and the kids, and hang out for a while, play some ping pong. You know, and I don't go out and drink that much because I had 2 OWIs, so I try never to go out and drink.
Okay. So who is Doug's best friend?
I mean, probably Brian Everett's.
Brian Everett's is Doug's best friend?
Probably. I mean, it just.
Why would you say that?
I don't know. I mean, they hang out a lot. They go golfing. They golf together.
So if you had to guess, you'd say Brian Everett's best friend?
Brian's probably his best friend, but Brian's married. He lives in Sheboygan, you know, so.
Who would be his closest best friend in the area?
I don't know. Me or Dustin.
You or Dustin Clark? How often do you talk to him on the phone or text him or Facebook him?
I mean, twice a week. I mean, I don't know, you know, something interesting or something funny, you know. I don't know. I mean, I guess I don't text out all that often.
It's not a daily thing, though?
No.
Definitely not?
No.
Okay.
I mean, until the last 3 days, I mean.
Why would it change now?
Well, because of how crazy the last 3 days have been. I mean, what the fuck is going on? I mean, that's what the text has been, you know. I mean, when we were going to the Steel Panther concert, I obviously was texting him because he was going to go there with Nikki. So, you know, I let him know that we were, you know, going to the Steel Panther.
Okay. Who all went to Steel Panther?
And there was a big group of us, Aaron Klinsky, Aaron Klinsky, Chris O'Kane, Scott Peterson, Darcy Lipsky, Aaron's fiance, Jesse Collar showed up later, Mike Gillespie, Angela Cormier. I mean, our friend Katie Jones, her husband was opening for Steel Panther. He's the lead singer of Annex, so she was there. I was excited to see her because I hadn't seen her since she got married. And I'm trying to think of anybody else that was there, but.
Are a lot of these people friends with both of you?
I mean, yeah, I mean, it was a group that we were all friends with. We were all drinking buddies. I don't see a lot of those people as often anymore because I don't, you know, very regularly go out to drink. Okay. Because of the problems of OWIs.
Okay. So, run me through the night of Steel Panther. What's all going down at the Watering Hole or Sandlot or whatever?
Man, it's a great time. Everybody's having a lot of fun, you know. We all parked in like that back rugby court, you know, the rugby field back there. You know, we didn't know where we were gonna park when we got there, and then they actually had a huge place for us to park. I mean, we were having a great time. I mean, it was fun. I was talking to Katie, catching up with her because I hadn't seen her in a long time. You know, I mean, I was talking to Nikki for a while. You know, just everybody was having a great time. And then, you know, 11 o'clock rolled around, the concert ended. Everybody's kind of shuffling around, and I guess they left, and Nikki went with them, which was weird because, she doesn't really know those guys that great. Like, she's probably met them 2 or 3 times in, this entire time. So me and Doug, are on our way out, and we see a friend from high school that we haven't seen for a long time. And we started talking to her and talking to her husband, and, we lose track of time a little bit. And, I mean, during this time, I guess Doug's getting, phone calls from Nikki. And finally I was like, all right, we got to go, I'm going to go get my car. I'll drive it up here and then, come out. So, I mean, it probably was, I don't know, 12:15, 12:20 that, I got in my car, I pulled it up, I told him, I sent him a text, I said, get the fuck outside, what are you doing? And he came outside and got in my car, and Nikki was calling him, yelling at him, telling him she's leaving because she's at the sardine can with our friends. And
did you hear this conversation?
I mean, I could hear him being like, you know, just go back to the sardine can, go back to the sardine can, what are you doing? Go back to the sardine can, like that. And then she must have hung up, and he called her back, and they're arguing again for a while, you know, of him trying to tell her.
Were you guys driving that way?
At this point, I'm driving, and then so I pulled onto North Platten because I used to live on North Platten with a friend of ours, and I pulled into his driveway just to be off the road, and I'm like, Doug, hand me the phone, let me talk to her, maybe I can calm her down, maybe I can get her to tell me where she is so we can go and pick her up. And
do you have a pretty good relationship with Nikki?
yeah, I mean, we're friends. I
Okay.
like Nikki, you know, she's a great mother to my irresponsible friend's child, you know, so, you know, I mean, yeah, and so I talked to her, I tried to calm her down, I'm like, just let me know where you are, I'll come and pick you up, you know.
Why do you think you could talk to her over?
Well, because they're like, she's mad at him, and they're like, you know, they're arguing about her, like, running off into the street, you know. I mean, he wasn't, like, yelling at her mad, he's yelling at her, like, don't be stupid, go back to the sardine can, what the hell are you doing, you know, we're on our way right now, we're on our way, I'm sorry, I wasn't there, you know, that was, like, the gist of the conversation, but I could tell that he just had to keep repeating the same thing, so I knew she did, you know, so I was like, give me the phone, and I pulled it into his driveway and parked, and I took the phone, and I'm like, Nikki, it's Greg, you know, calm down, we're on our way right now, I'll come and pick you up, you know, or go back to sardine can, and she wasn't making any sense. She was like, this is Doug, you're pretending to be Greg, this isn't Greg, I know this is Doug, and I'm like, Nikki, it is me, and then she either hung up or her phone battery died. I don't know what happened, but then somebody came to the door at that house, and it wasn't, you know, my friend, like, I guess my friend sold his house. I haven't.
In the driveway?
In the driveway I was, so I was like, well, shit,
what
you know.
What was the address on Platten?
It's 1253 North Platten is where I parked. It was like, a young girl, like, opened the door, and then I was like, well, shit, you know.
Who had been living there?
Josh Andrews. He had gotten married, and we knew when he got married that we were never going to see him again because his girlfriend hated us and did, you know, only was being nice to us at that time to.
I got friends just like.
I know, and so I mean, we were all joking that night. Everybody was like, "Anybody talk to Josh lately?" And like, "Yep, haven't talked to him since freaking wedding." Yeah.
So you didn't even know that he hadn't lived there
I didn't know that he sold his house. One of my friends said that he had a for sale sign in front of his house, but I didn't know that his house was sold. And like I mean, it looked like a young black girl, like, opened the door and was looking out, and I was like, oh, shit, you know? So then I got back on the road, and, you know, I cut up and down a couple roads around that way just to see if I would see her. And we thought maybe she went back to the sardine can, so we went back to the sardine can, and we stayed there. I talked to some people.
Just you and Doug in the car?
Me and Doug, yeah. By the time we get back to the sardine can, all of our friends have left.
Okay.
No one's there.
And you know this, because you have been talking to your friends?
No, when we showed up there and walked around, well, we went to the tiki bar area, and we walked into the tiki bar area.
Where did you guys park at when you got there?
I parked by the bank.
By the BMO Harris right next door?
Yeah, so I mean, like, around that corner, I was parked right there.
Okay, so you're there,
Yeah.
and then you go
You walked,
in.
around it.
Which entrance did you and Doug go in?
We walked into the tiki bar entrance.
Together?
Yes.
Both of you?
I mean, I believe, yes, I mean, yeah. I think
Closely?
he walked right into the bar area, and I was out smoking a cigarette in the tiki bar.
Okay, so at this point, you knew that Nikki had run away or whatever?
But she had done this previous times prior to
this was not something that was that abnormal?
She gets like delusions of grandeur. She's like, I'm tough, I can walk, I'll walk all the way home. I was from Denmark. She tried to run away during the Packers-Arizona game, and it was like 30 below, and her jacket was in my car, and I was at a friend's house. I was sober, and I was like, I will come and pick you guys up whenever you need me to pick you up. And Doug sends me a text, Nikki's in the back of a cop car, haha, and I'm like, what in the fuck is going on? Like, you know that I'm here. I'm a mile away, I can pick you up.
So is this behavior that Nikki does when drunk?
I mean, I've only drank with her
behavior
2 times, you know? I've only ever drank with her twice. It was that, and then this night, but Doug had said one other night, they were out, and she ran off, and she ended up at a friend's house, but, you know, then she came back home, you know, that next day.
Okay. So then run me through what happens next. You guys arrive at you park at the BMO Harris, you guys go
We
inside.
park there, we go inside, and Doug's mad, you know, he's like, oh, she's being stupid, you know, what the fuck, and he wants to drink, and I'm like, we did a shot at the bar, like he was harassing like the bartender inside, and he didn't have his wallet on him, or he left his wallet in my car, he didn't have any money on him or something, and the bartender's just like, give me $5. And you can have these stupid shots. We took the shots, and then I'm like,
paid for them?
yeah,
Okay.
I gave $5 to the bartender. So I went back, and I started to talk to some of the people out there, and I'm like, hey, have you seen a blonde girl? And the first guy's like, is her name Nikki? And I'm like, yeah, it is, but the way Nikki is, I could see her going up to somebody and say like, hey, what's your name? I'm Nikki, you know? So he knew who she was, you know, which was kind of weird. But then I asked another guy, I'm like, hey, you know, have you seen her? Has she come back? And he's like, yeah, I saw her. You know, she had left earlier. And then I talked to that guy for a while. That's the guy, I guess his name was Max, that they had talked to. And then, I mean, I don't know at what point we left. You know, it was probably 2:15.
So you guys, on your way there, drove around looking for her a little bit, couldn't find her, went there, and then stayed until last call?
Well, I don't know, they didn't like tell us to leave at all at that point, but the Max guy, when we were about to leave, he was like, you know, I just want to let you know, man, there's a sting going on tonight, so, you know, be careful if you're driving. So then I'm like, well, shit, you know, I don't want to be driving all around these streets. I mean, I don't know that I was like over the limit, but I quit drinking at like 10 until I took that shot at the sardine can.
So what's the conversation between you and Doug at this point?
At this point, you know, I'm like, they're doing a DUI sting tonight. You know, I guess there are cops everywhere pulling people over. So I'm like, I'll drive up and down a couple streets. So I drove up and down a little bit, you know, and once I saw Gray Street, because I lived in that area, I knew Gray Street took you to Atkinson. So I got to Gray Street, I took a right. You know, I got to Atkinson, I got on the highway, you know, went over Tower Drive Bridge, you know, went straight there, got to Doug's house, probably at 2:45. We went inside, we talked to Dallas, the babysitter.
Where did you park at Doug's?
In his driveway.
In the driveway?
Yes.
Okay.
We went and we talked to Dallas, the babysitter.
Any other vehicles there?
Her vehicle was there, Dallas's.
Okay.
So we went and talked to her, and she's good friends with Nikki. So she called Nikki, and Doug called Nikki, but Nikki's phone was dead from the time that I last talked to her. You know, Doug kept trying to call her back, and it kept going straight to voicemail. I tried calling her, went straight to voicemail, onto his phone. And so, you know, they did more of the same, just straight to voicemail. I stood around with them for a little while, and I'm like, you know, I'm gonna go home.
Where were you guys at in the house when this was going on?
In the kitchen.
Okay.
Well, me and him were in the kitchen, and she was like sitting on the couch. You know, she was sleeping, but, you know, by the time we got there. So.
Where was the baby?
I don't know if the baby was in, like, the little carrier. I'm assuming that's where the baby was. You know, it was dark in there. She had the lights off because she was sleeping, you know, and then they had, like the dim lights on in the kitchen area. And he, you know, continued to keep calling, and, you know, I said, all right, I'm gonna head out. So I left. Dallas was still there when I left. I drove straight home. I got to my house. I brushed my teeth. I mean, I remember.
Which way did you drive home?
I took Monroe all the way to, you know, right past the sheriff's office to the highway. I jumped on the highway. I got off at JJ. You know, I took a left off of the highway onto Old Manitowoc Road. Is that what it, you know, what it'd be called? I took a left by Lou's One Stop, straight down there to my house. Brushed my teeth. I played 5 games of Candy Crush on my mom's Kindle for her, and then my phone was dead at that point because I was trying to take video at the concert. So I plugged my phone in, and you know, it popped back on at 3:31, and then 2 texts from Erin came through, you know, saying like, I tried to stop her, you know. She was too you know, because Doug's a friend, but she was too pig-headed, and she ran off, you know.
Okay.
So I got those 2 texts. That I didn't see them that night. I fell asleep before my phone actually charged up enough. And then I got up in the morning. I texted a friend of mine. I said, hey, you know, you want to go to, go to Brilliant to go frisbee golfing, because she works, Dustin Clark works night shift. So I didn't know if he worked that night, but he didn't go to the concert, so I thought maybe he was working that night. So I texted him to see if he wanted to go to Brilliant. He told me, or he didn't text me anything back at the time. I was off.
What time did you text Dustin Clark?
Probably like 8:03, 8:05. Usually that's when he would get done with work, get home,
Asked if you go.
be ready. That's usually what
time. You remember what the text said exactly?
It just said Brilliant question mark.
Brilliant question mark?
Yes.
And you guys obviously both know that to mean go frisbee
Yes.
golf?
Yes. Be Brilliant question mark, Kiwani question mark, these
Okay.
different places that we usually go.
And then what happened?
So I got up, and I think I played some more Candy Crush, and I told my mom that I was going frisbee golfing, and I went to the Mason Street Casino. And
What time was that at?
I probably left my house at 9:15. I got there by 9:30. I sat around, I won a little bit of money. I was doing pretty good for a while. I got a pack of cigarettes and just smoking cigarettes in a place you could still smoke indoors.
Did you use your player's card when you were?
No, I did not, but I mean, they have cameras everywhere. You'd think that they would have cameras. I don't have a player's card because I don't want anything coming to my house being like, my parents would not like, knowing that I'm fucking going to the stupid casino. So I sat there for a while, and I only know this because of the text at 11:04. I texted my friend who lives close to the casino. He's kind of a hoarder, I go there once in a while, I'll clean his house, or I'll bring him food. He drinks, and he's just a little guy, so I try to bring him food. So I text him like, are you hungry yet, question mark, and he didn't send me anything back. I went to Burger King. I went to his house. He always leaves it unlocked for me. I let him,
friend?
Marcus Mandola. He was on Oak Ridge, which is like off the military a little bit. I went to his house. I ate half of my Burger King. I got 2 rodeo burgers, 2 crispy chickens, and a 10-piece chicken nugget. I ate the 10-piece chicken nugget because he didn't wake up. I ate the rodeo burger and the crispy chicken, and he was passed out the whole time. I took the bag, I put it in his refrigerator, I let his dogs out, I smoked some cigarettes, and then I got into my car to leave, and that's when Doug sent me a Facebook message saying that he couldn't find his phone.
What time was that at?
I mean, I know when I talked to the cops originally, I didn't know exactly what the timeline was.
Yeah, it's all good.
So I know I told him it was earlier, but it was like 12:37, I think, when I looked back at the first time that he had texted me. It was 12:37. Saying that he didn't have his phone, I sent him a Facebook message back saying, I was at your house in your kitchen. He asked, is my phone in your car? That's what he had asked me. And I said, no, your phone's in your house. I saw you calling Nikki in your kitchen, so I know your phone's in your house. So I went home from Marcus's house probably at about, at that 12:47. I was in my car when he sent me that. So then I was like feeling around my car for a little while just to see it. I'm like, no, wait, I saw you, using your phone in the kitchen, so it cannot be in my car. So he said, I looked for my phone, I can't find it. I thought maybe it was in the couch. I don't know where it is. And I was like, well, I'll keep looking because it wouldn't be anywhere else besides your house, So I got home. On my way home, I called my dad because my dad wanted me to go at some point today and meet him at our storage garage and put a coat. They were going to switch out the truck that my mom drives in winter for their convertible that she drives in summer, right? And he wanted to put this couch that my sister was getting rid of that they were just saving for me on top of the truck, but he didn't want my mom to know this. So I called him to see if he wanted to meet me there, but he was out mowing the lawn, so he didn't answer. So I got home, and then he wanted to go right away, and I was kind of mad. I'm like, Jesus, I just walked in the door, and sit down and relax for a minute. And so he wanted to go right away, and so I jumped in his truck. We drove over to the storage garage. We put the couch on top of the truck, and then we came back to our house. I was going to take a nap, because I didn't sleep much the night before, but I was awake and ready to go for frisbee golfing. We did that, and so I took a nap for 2 hours, and when I woke up, I saw that Doug had texted me. He had texted me, what's up? And that night before, I told him, I'll give you a ride back to your car at the watering hole, whenever, just let me know. So I called, but we were still, I was like, is Nikki back? We had sent texts back and forth, like, is Nikki back yet? Have you found Nikki? And he'd be like, no, I still can't find her, I can't find my phone. But this, this was a little later, so I think it was 2:47 that he had texted me about coming, just like hitting me with a text. And then at about 4 is when I actually texted him back saying, what's up, you need a ride? And he said, yeah, give me a call. And then I called him, and he had said that, he was going to file a missing persons report. And I was like, yeah, you probably should. By noon, her not getting home was, getting scary because she fucking loves that kid. There's no way that she wouldn't come back for that child. So he called me again, and I was on my way, and he's like, well, the police are going to come over here. They said it won't take very long to get here, so if you don't want to come here right now, I'll call you when it's done. And I was like, well, I'm already on my way. If I can help, I'll come, if I can help with the timeline, because he was pretty drunk, that night. So I ended up getting there. His parents were there.
Where did you drive there?
I took the exact same way, that I took home.
43,
I got on the highway right there. I came around,
Monroe.
Monroe, and then straight down to his house. So I got there, and his parents are there, and I've known his parents for a long time. I worked, when I was in college, I would go and help his mom with stuff, she'd put a lot of Christmas lights up or help her with landscaping because they have a big yard, so I would work there in the summers while I was in school, in the school year, whenever I could. So I know them very well, they're both great people that I've always really, loved being around. So I talked to them for a while, and we're just like, in shock, like, what in the hell is going on? And then about probably 2 or 3 minutes later, the police showed up.
Excuse me.
The police showed up, and, that's when we
started. So
started.
when you get there, it's Doug
and his mom and dad, because they were going to watch Dylan while I brought Doug to get his car. Okay. So he called them to come and watch, Dylan while I brought him to his car.
Okay. So then what happened next?
Then the investigators came, and, we tried to, Doug was telling, like, the timeline of that night, and I knew his timeline was off, but I'm like, I don't want to just keep interrupting and be like, well, no, this is what happened, this is what happened. So then when...
What was off about his timeline?
Well, like, he thought we were only at the watering hole for, like, 10 or 15 minutes before we left to go and meet them, and I knew it was more like 30 or 45 minutes probably, before we went, but I didn't want to just keep, like, interrupting them and change, So we were looking, at the time, we thought that we were looking for her yet and trying to, and realized at that point that 2 hours earlier that they had found a body, So I thought we were really trying to help actually find her and give the best possible way to find her. So
found a body?
Well, they found it at 2 p.m., right? Okay, so when the police came, 2 more officers came, and they're like, you want to follow us down and just give us your, events? And I'm like, of course, I think my timeline is more accurate than Doug's. She was hammered, he might not know the different times as well as I did, I felt, So when I got here, one of my friends had texted me and said, like, what's going on? And I'm like, well, I'm in the police station right now, being questioned, and, it's crazy, and he sent me a text back, like, well, they found a body at 2 p.m. today, and then...
When did you first hear about
at 10
someone
o'clock,
finding a body?
9:47, I think. Right, it was about a minute before they took my phone to, run through my phone, and then, then it was real and scary that I wasn't here just trying to help out.
I'm not understanding.
What do you mean?
So you drive...
This is at 10 o'clock at night when I've been talking to the office. I left Doug's house with the police officers to meet them here to give, my events at probably, 7 o'clock, maybe 6:30. And then I was sitting here with them from that time. But then at you know, they're asking me to consent to giving them my cell phone. I'm like, yes, you can look at all the stuff. Do you think that's gonna help? And then that buddy of mine sent me that text, and I'm like, well, what the fuck?
What buddy?
Dustin had sent me a text.
So Dustin, what's Dustin's last name, Clark?
Yes.
Sends you a text at what time?
Like 9:47. It was about a minute, like they took my phone from me, like the next minute. Like I already signed my consent form for them to search my phone.
So that, as you turned your phone over and signed the consent form, just a minute prior to that is the first?
Like a minute. I mean, he wrote down the time that he took my phone. I would bet if you look at that text, which they should have, you know, they should have that text, that it was like 1 minute later after, you know, that he had told me that, and then...
Why would a body be Nikki, though?
Because she would never leave her kid. She would come home to breastfeed that kid. She was so big on taking care of that child. I mean, by 4 o'clock, we were terrified.
So, you don't find out...
I found out at 10 o'clock, and then a friend of mine, that Katie, that was at the concert, the next morning told me that a friend of hers at a cookout had said that the person that they found had a Steel Panther bracelet on her hand. I mean, it's the most unbelievable thing you can ever fucking imagine.
So, as we sit here today, you believe that that body is Nikki, then?
I mean, when I heard that there was a Steel Panther concert bracelet on her arm, and we have a friend that's missing that would never, ever abandon her child for any reason. I mean, she's the greatest mom you could ever imagine. When I heard that...
How did you hear that she had a Steel Panther bracelet on her arm?
From Katie Jones.
Katie Jones?
Yes. And I believe Doug may have mentioned that too.
And Katie Jones mentioned that to Doug?
No, she mentioned that to me when I was about to come back here to pick up my car the next day.
So Katie Jones mentions that to you. What day was this and at what time?
This is when I was here to pick up my car the next day.
So this is now Sunday?
Yeah, Sunday at probably 11.
11 in the morning?
Yes.
So you're coming here to pick up your Buick?
Yeah.
And that's when you hear that there's a Steel
Panther
bracelet on the girl?
Yes.
And you heard that from Katie Jones?
Yes.
And Katie Jones heard it from?
A police officer that was at the scene, I guess.
You said Katie Jones or Doug and Doug?
I mean, I had talked to Doug at like 10:20. He had called just saying like how insane this is.
10:20
in the morning before I came, like right when I woke up to my phone ringing. I mean, not that I slept well in the first place. In the morning the next, on
Saturday morning or
no,
Sunday
this
morning?
is Sunday morning.
So Sunday morning at 10:20.
He had made. I mean, you know, it's so crazy what is happening right now. I'm not.
What about Saturday? How many times did you talk to Doug Saturday?
On the phone, I didn't talk to him at all.
There was no phone conversation between you or him?
Until I was on my way to his house, yes, to pick him up to get his car. That's the only time that there was any conversation, and it was
How long
him.
Was that conversation, you think?
A minute.
And what was it? What happened in that conversation?
That conversation was him, you know, saying that he's going to file a missing persons report. You know, if I want to come by now, I can. If, you know, you want to wait until after the missing persons report is done, you can come then. And I said, I'm already on my way. I'll come now. Maybe I can help.
Okay. What about the original Facebook message when he was looking for his phone?
What's that?
You were talking about a Facebook message.
Yeah, the first one I got was at 12:37. I sent him a message back saying, you know, it's not my car, I know it's in your house, I saw it, and, you know, I saw you calling in the kitchen. He sent me a message back, still can't find my phone, still can't find Nikki, like, what the fuck, something like that, you know, and then I think I sent him another message back saying, you know, your phone is in your house somewhere, you know, you gotta find it. And then I think the next message I got was from his cell phone saying, found my phone, what's up? You know, at like 2:47, and then that's the one at like 4 I responded to saying, you need a ride to your car.
Okay. What was Nikki wearing that night?
I mean, the only reason, like, I know she was wearing dark clothes, but the only reason I know was because I was standing in the room with Doug when he told them what she was wearing, you know. When he said it, I was like, yeah, it might have been like a silver and black striped, like, not low cut, you know, it wasn't like a cleavage shirt, but like kind of low hanging shirt, and he said she was wearing black capris, and I mean, I guess, you know, she had black pants on, I don't know.
Remember what kind of shoes she was wearing?
No, they keep asking about the shoes, but I mean, I know what he said she was wearing for shoes, you know, that they were like silver medium heels, but I mean, I never looked down at her feet and thought, you know, oh, those are cool shoes, you know.
Right. So, what, can you describe anything specific about her, like what she looked like, her hairstyles?
I think it was just kind of just straight, wavy maybe, I mean.
You know what kind of phone she has?
No, not really, no.
The type of purse she had?
No, I mean, I know my friends had said that she did have a purse, but I didn't remember ever seeing her. I mean, we're at a concert, why would you want to have a purse on your arm when you're like kind of jumping around and, you know, dancing or whatever, you know? So I don't remember ever seeing her purse, but.
What kind of phone do you have?
An iPhone 4.
An iPhone 4. Is it under your name?
Yes.
So you have
Sprint.
Through Sprint?
I mean, if you want to get any of the telephone, you know, conversations, I'd be more than willing to, you know, if Sprint can do that, I'd be more than willing to allow you to, you know, go through any of those conversations.
Okay. How long have you had this specific phone?
Long, I mean, a while. My OtterBox broke, and I've been waiting for the phone to break so that I could go and get my upgrade, but I just haven't, you know, it just hasn't, so I probably had the phone for 4 years.
Okay. Does anyone else ever use your phone?
No.
Has anyone ever used your phone?
I mean, not that I know of. I have a lock on the phone, you know.
What about Friday night into Saturday? Was it in your pocket or in your hand?
I mean, it died on Friday night at some point. I don't know at what exact point in the night that my phone died, but yeah, there'd be no reason that anybody would have my phone.
Okay.
I mean,
so
I don't think.
It was on your person?
I mean, yes, it was. I got home, it was on me.
Okay.
I plugged
What's
it in.
the code for your phone?
0816.
What was the last text or call or thing you did on your phone?
I mean, I don't even, that night, I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, the last thing I might have saw on my phone was Aaron had texted me from Darcy's phone because his phone died too.
Around what time?
I mean, I'm not 100% sure. Before we left the watering hole.
Before you left the watering hole?
Yeah, because she had texted, this is Darcy's phone, you know, he texted, this is Darcy's phone, we're at the sardine can, you know, where you guys at?
And you have a car charger?
No, I don't.
You have no car charger?
No, I do not.
Okay. So you had no way to charge it in your...
No, I first was able to charge it when I got home that night and plugged it in.
So you're saying before leaving the watering hole, that's when you were still using your phone, you never used your phone after leaving the watering hole?
I'm not 100% sure. I think I texted Crystal where they were at. I might have texted when I got to the sardine can. I might have texted Crystal, where did you guys go? And that she sent me a text back saying, I don't even know what bar it was, but I might have used it at the sardine can. But at some point, you know, around that time, it did die.
Okay.
You know, since my partner Zach and I have never met you, it's difficult for us to judge where somebody's telling us the truth or a lie, right? So there's no secrets here. I'll let you in on some of our secrets. A lot of times what we'll do is we'll ask questions that we already have answers to.
Yeah.
We're trying to determine if you're really truly trying to help us, or if there's something amiss, you know. And just because something's amiss doesn't mean you did anything wrong. You know what I mean? It could mean that you may be scared or something else or whatever. For example, you may be trying to cover up one thing that we don't care about. For example, like say drunk driving or something, when we're really interested in knowing something else. All right. So having said that, you know, when you tell the truth, you don't have to have a good memory, right? You don't have to memorize stuff if you're just recalling things. So let's try this. Let's try. We talked about Friday. We talked about Saturday. Let's try something more recent. Let's try Sunday night.
Okay.
What did you do Sunday night? Should be last last night into today?
So Sunday, I mean, we're all in a whirlwind. The police are contacting everybody. I went over to my friend Marcus's house again, and I was sitting there, and he was playing beanbags at Badger State. And I called him, and he didn't respond. I was sitting there with his dogs. I let his dogs out in the backyard, and I was smoking a cigarette. He called me back, and I was just like, you would not believe the insane last 36 hours of my life, like what the fuck is happening? And he asked me, you would need me to come there, and I said, yeah, will you come here? And so we were sitting there, and we were talking just about how crazy all this stuff was. And then I got a text from Aaron Kalinsky just letting me know that they were at Crystal's, and that, be good to be around people right now and not, losing our minds. And so I sat at Marcus's for a while, and then at that point, I said, maybe I should just go to Crystal and Mike's and see those guys. So I went over to Crystal and Mike's, and I stayed there for a while, and we talked and just, talked about how crazy all this stuff is. And then from there, I went back to my parents' house and talked to them, just make sure that they knew I was all right, because of all this stuff that's going on. And so I talked to them for a while, and then I went back over to Mike and Crystal's. I got a pack of cigarettes, and I got a pack of cigarettes for Crystal. And then Doug had called me, and we were talking again about how crazy all this stuff was, and that the police had released his house back to him, and I said, if you need a ride there, he'd been talking about going back there to get his contact solution and get some changes of clothes. I said, you probably should stay with your family right now. You probably shouldn't go back to the house, So I said, let me know if you need a ride there. I went to Aaron's house, and he said that he was just beat and he was going to go to bed. So I drove back to Marcus's house, and I texted Doug. I'm like, if you need a ride today or tomorrow, let me know, hang in there. And he had texted me back that him and his dad went back to the house and got contact solution and clothes. And then I left Marcus's house at probably 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, and went back home and went to bed.
So just to confirm, you didn't spend any time with Doug last night?
I haven't seen Doug since we were in his kitchen with the interview with the police officers for the missing persons. I haven't seen him since, no.
Okay. And does Doug have a drug problem?
I mean,
what's his drug of choice?
I mean, he smokes pot. I mean, alcohol is his drug of choice.
Alcohol, weed, what else?
I mean,
you're his best friend.
Weed. I mean, he smokes pot.
You said weed. You said alcohol. You're his best friend since high school. So if he did have a drug problem, you would know it, okay? And I want you to remember back to, I'm going to ask you certain questions that may be difficult, but I'm going to judge how you are at answering those questions when I know the answer, but they're difficult for you to answer for me, okay? They're going to get progressively more difficult. So what is his drug of choice besides weed and alcohol?
I mean, occasionally he might have a little cocaine, occasionally.
Okay.
Maybe 3 or 4 times a year on special occasions. I mean, I don't know any pill that he does. He keeps that stuff private. Doug is a pretty private person. But I mean, I don't know any other drug.
I have some concerns that...
I really don't.
I have some concerns that it took me a couple of questions to get to a simple thing like cocaine.
Well, it's only very rarely.
I
mean, that's why I wouldn't say it's his drug of choice. Pot's something that he might smoke a little more often, and alcohol is something that he does far more often than the other, so
what's your drug of choice? What's your drug of choice?
I mean, I
enjoy
taking Adderall once in a while because I don't drink much anymore. I like to listen to science and technology podcasts, and it makes, me pull that information more. That's it.
Do you have a prescription for Adderall?
I do not.
When's the last time you and Doug snorted Adderall together?
That night before we were going to drive to go to leave the watering hole. When we were about to leave the watering hole and I was going to drive. He has a prescription for Adderall, and we
Okay, so that was at the house, at the watering hole?
At the watering hole, in the parking lot at the watering hole.
Okay. So I just asked you about Doug, and you mentioned alcohol, marijuana, cocaine on occasion, and then you specifically said about pills, whatever he does, you don't know.
Well, no, but that's it. He's got a prescription for Adderall. So for Adderall, he's got a prescription to take it, so that wouldn't be
He's got a prescription to snort it? I mean, that's abusing it, right?
Here's the thing, Greg. There's a lot of things going on right now. What do you know? Tell me what you know.
I mean, I know that the police were at his house.
How do you know that?
It's on the news. We were watching the news in total disbelief that this thing is
So
happening.
why would you want to do anything but tell us the whole truth? Because if you're here and you want to cooperate with this investigation, and you want to assist and be a good witness, and not get jammed up on all this,
I mean,
why
I can tell you the truth.
would you not tell us
you know,
the truth about everything?
Well,
Just lay it all on the table.
You skipped Adderall. I mean, you
had a
maybe...
prescription, you know, I
Well,
mean, is that a thing?
You don't have a prescription to
I
snort it.
do
You
not.
gave us very distinct and detailed information down to the minute.
I mean, that's.
Well, a lot of it is in the text, I get it.
Adderall.
Well, but it does matter. When we say every
Everything
detail matters, when you pull into somebody's driveway and you give this officer the actual address and you specifically detail how a black female went out of the door, and then you realize that your friend lived there by such and such a name, he no longer lives there, then you proceeded on, then this detective is asking you specifically what street you're driving on, do you not think, then you're telling me that, well, you know, I was in a much clearer state of mind to provide detailed information on how long we were there as opposed to Doug because he was intoxicated. Well, if we're talking about state of mind, do we not want to know about any drug use? I mean, you told us about alcohol. You told us last time you had something to drink is at 10 p.m. Then you had a shot over at the sardine can, but you didn't drink before that. So that kind of gives us a gauge of your level of intoxication. But why would you explicitly not mention illegal drug use?
I had nothing to do with this.
I didn't say that. I'm saying to you that I have some concerns.
We're tearing apart, you know, my private life. Yes, I mean,
That's what we have to do.
I told you I enjoy
Somebody's
Adderall.
life has ended, right? Somebody's life has ended, so it's the minimum we can do. It's a minimum we can do on her behalf is ask you private questions.
I know.
And I'm going to tell you that your timeline seems so abundantly rehearsed. And you know the reason why I know that? Is because it's nowhere near what you told the officers the first time and the second time. It's just not. For example, I'll give you an example. When did you go see your friend? Before or after you went to the casino?
I went after.
Well, you told the officers you went before.
I know. I hadn't slept in like 50 hours. They woke me up. You know, I just woke up and they're asking me questions. So when I was thinking about that, I was a little hazy about at what point I stopped at Marcus's house. I told him that he wasn't there either. And then I looked into my text, and then I remembered, oh shit, yeah, he was sleeping on the couch. I brought in that Burger King. You know, they just woke me up.
So let me tell you this.
One of the craziest moments of my entire life.
This detective and I combined have approximately 30 years of doing this job. And we can tell the difference between somebody not recalling something.
I am telling you the absolute truth.
Greg,
You're interrupting me.
just listen to what he's saying for a second.
You're interrupting me. I didn't say you were lying. I said I can tell the truth when somebody can't recall something or when somebody's providing fabricated information. I haven't even identified which one you're doing, and you're already sitting there telling me you're denying that that's what you're doing. You see what I'm saying? I can understand not knowing what you did 1, 2, 3 days ago, especially when you have alcohol and maybe some other controlled substances in your system. I get that. I understand that. I couldn't tell you what I had for dinner 3 nights ago, okay? But that's not the story that we're getting from you right now. The story we're getting from you right now is extremely clear and concise, down to the minute, covering a period of 72 hours. It's unheard of. I would actually expect you to remember less than what you remember.
All of these events have been going through my head over and over and over for the last 72 hours on a non-stop loop of everything that happened. I mean, that's why I remember all these things. because I am in, you know, this last
Greg, let me tell you,
72 hours have,
here's what's not gonna change. 100%. All the forensic data in this case, all of the cellular phone data, all of the tracking of devices, all of the surveillance footage of every business and every street, all of the communication before and after all this happened. Do you think it's an accident that certain things were done in a certain way in this investigation?
no.
So what we're doing is we're sitting back and we're not guessing. And as this investigation takes us where it takes us, it takes time to process this forensic data. It takes time for a crime scene and a crime unit to process it all. Scientists, doctors. We have upwards of 100 people involved. This is a serious, serious matter. It is a homicide investigation. Someone is dead. This person is someone you say is your friend. Okay? So here's the other part. Doug is providing a story.
Doug is with us.
So that's kind of a big deal, isn't it?
Right now, he's with us.
I know.
So what I would like you to do is be honest with us now. Because there's two types of person, Greg, and this is the honest to God truth. There are cold-blooded psychopaths, and there are things that happen, there are mistakes that happen. Okay? And sometimes people get caught up in shit because of loyalty or friendship, or because they didn't even know what was happening until it was too fucking late. So the time to be honest with us is right now.
Honestly, I had absolutely nothing
To do with what? What did you have nothing to do with?
anything to do with
What did you have nothing to do with?
I did not see Nikki again after she left the watering hole. I absolutely did not see her again.
So what did you not do to Nikki?
She left the water. I have no idea. I have no idea what happened to her. I did not.
You've already contradicted yourself.
I would like to leave.
You're free to leave anytime
I
you want, Greg.
had nothing to do with this, guys. When you do get through all this data,
This door is open.
what you will see when
You're free to walk out this door whenever you want.
What you will
I'm
see.
here to have you cooperate.
What
Because
you
the
will,
investigation.
well, no, but now
can't
you're
keep going.
You're accusing me.
I'm not accusing you of anything. I'm telling you the facts are the facts, my friend.
Listen,
They're going to take
when
us
all
where
this
they can.
forensic evidence gets finished, you are going to know that I had absolutely nothing to do with any of this. You're going to see that my timelines are correct. I've been thinking
Did you have any physical
nonstop
contact
about
with
this.
Nikki at all?
I mean, I don't know. I had some conversations with her at the watering hole, but that would have been the only place. Yes, we're kind of packed together. We're trying to be close to the front of Steel Panther. You know, there's possibility, but no more contact than just our arms brushing
you
each
and me
other.
talking right now?
Yeah, I mean,
So nothing more than that?
no. I mean, nothing more than, you know, if I saw her on the deck and she didn't see me and I said, hey, Nikki, you know, that is it. That is all.
Would you be willing to provide consent for a DNA standard?
I already did.
You did all that already?
Yes. I already consented. They took swabs out of my mouth, yes. I did that on Saturday when I came to pick up my
And
car.
you provided consent for your phone as well already?
Yes, I did. And my car, yes, all three.
So do you feel like you've done everything you can to
and
help
my
this
clothes.
investigation?
Well, I didn't wash my clothes. I was going to do my laundry last night, and I did not wash my clothes because I had the feeling that they would want my clothes, and if that could help. So I didn't do my laundry last night. So that, and then they came at 11:30, and I immediately gave them all of the clothes that I'd been wearing, and the shoes.
What were y'all wearing that night?
I mean, a red shirt, tan cargo pants, and sandals. That's what I was wearing, and I gave them all those things.
Did you have an undershirt at all?
Yes, I had a white beater undershirt because the shirt was kind of, if I moved my arms, my shirt would come up over my stomach, and I didn't want to mid-drift when I'm standing at the concert. So yes, I did wear a white shirt tucked into my pants.
And the sandals you said you were wearing?
Yes,
And that's,
I gave that, yes,
Okay.
the boxers.
what about your glasses, the same glasses?
I was wearing contacts that evening.
Contacts?
Yes,
Okay, any type of jewelry, necklace?
nothing, no.
What did y'all have on your person?
I mean, I had my phone, my wallet, cigarettes, lighter,
Cigarettes? What kind of cigarettes do you smoke?
Camel lights.
Always?
Yeah, Camel Blue 99s usually.
Camel Blue 99s. And
Either
we're
if it's 75 cents off, I'll get, you know, I might get the
Mhm.
shorts over the 99s.
What were you smoking that night?
Camels.
Specifically, what kind?
I think I had 99s.
99?
Yes.
Okay.
Greg, we just told you that Doug is with us. Why do you think he's with us?
Because he's her boyfriend.
It's a lot
You
more-
obviously found something at his house, you know, I mean.
Well, what could have we possibly found at his house that would cause Doug to be with us?
I don't even want to imagine right now what.
I want you to imagine, you know why I want you to imagine? I want you to imagine on behalf of your friend Nikki.
I tried to help you guys as much as I can. I've been thinking about this timeline for the last 72 hours, trying to make sure that I knew every single possible detail of
Is Nikki your
everything
friend?
we did. Yes, she is my friend.
Think of Nikki.
She is
Okay,
my
on behalf of Nikki, can you tell me what you could possibly think that we would have found at his house that would cause Doug to be with
I
us?
have no idea. I would hope that he wouldn't have been able to find anything at his house, because I would hope that he had nothing to do with this. You know?
Well, I'm gonna disillusion you of this, of your friend that's been your friend for almost 20 years, that we did in fact find physical evidence. What do you think that we found?
I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea. What?
Well, would you be shocked that we found physical
I mean,
evidence?
I guess I would be shocked. I'd be shocked that what if one of your friends that you've been friends with your whole life, that you thought was a good person, all of a sudden gets arrested, you know?
What kind of evidence would shock you?
Any kind of evidence.
Well, I mean, evidence could be anything. What kind of evidence would be shocking to you? That we might...
I mean, you finding blood would be a shocking piece of evidence. That would be shocking to me, yes. That would be shocking.
Blood where?
Anywhere. Anywhere you'd find it, I would be shocked. And that would be it. It's so unbelievable.
You know, Greg, unfortunately, I've discussed this matter with my partner here, Zach, and we've looked at just mounds of information that we're having here, and you know, I hope you don't think that I'm bullshitting you that Doug is in custody with us, okay? You know, we really believe that whatever the issue was with Doug and Nicole that night, I don't think that it was pre-planned. I don't think it was something that was malicious. I really think that Nicole was out of control that night. She was highly intoxicated.
Definitely.
And she put herself in a position of vulnerability. You know, she was acting the fool. I mean, no doubt about it.
I just
Okay?
can't imagine him hurting her. I just can't.
And what I'm going to tell you is I really don't think that, not only do I not think that Doug wanted this to occur, but I especially don't think that you wanted this to occur. I mean, that's just the bottom line. And I think just based on your proximity to Doug, based on your proximity to Nicole, and based on your proximity to the people involved, you just got to be in a bad spot. And I really would hate, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here and for continuing to voluntarily be here, because I really truly believe, and Zach shares my opinion, that you are that witness that can speak on behalf of your good friend. Unfortunately, sometimes witnesses, as you're maybe feeling right now, can easily and quickly turn into a person of interest, and we don't want that to occur. We want the information flowing from you to be willing and voluntary, and we want it to be full, okay? No matter how hard it may be. You see what I'm saying? Because I'm going to tell you that there's no doubt in anybody's mind that the evidence shows that your friend, Doug, had involvement in her murder. There's no doubt about it, okay? But what I'm telling you is you don't want to get yourself in a position where you go from a person that can assist by giving some peace to the family to somebody that's a person of interest. You don't want to jump that line.
After the watering hole that night, I never saw Nikki again. I never saw her again after the watering hole that night.
Do you understand that even if your phone runs out of battery, or even if it's turned off,
I mean,
that's not, let me finish what I'm trying to say.
That'll exonerate me from having any...
Well,
No.
Well, it actually puts you,
I think I'm ready to leave you guys.
You're free to
I
leave
wanted to
anytime you
help
want to.
you, but you're trying to play this game and accuse me of something I had absolutely nothing to do with. I never saw Nikki again. I left the house while Dallas was the babysitter, was still there. Her vehicle was in the driveway when I left that house and went back to my house. My parents were home. They know that I was there the rest of that night. Dallas was still there. When you see
so
video,
who can vouch for you for the hour before you came to see Dallas?
when you see the
You
video cameras from the bank,
You
when
just
we
ignored my
leave-
question, right? You just completely ignored
That's
my
what I'm
question.
saying.
Who can vouch for you for the 60 minutes before you showed up and made contact with Dallas? Who can vouch you for that?
What is the 60 minutes?
1 hour. I'm asking for a 1 hour period of time. Who can vouch for where you were if your phone is dead?
Thank you, guys.
So nobody. That's your alibi?
I
Nobody. That's your alibi. Your alibi is the guy that's in custody for murder.
You'll see the timeline.
Your alibi is the guy that's in custody for murder. That's what you're gonna walk out this door with?
You will see the timelines when you review the videotapes and see where my car was at each one of those.
The evidence isn't gonna
There's
lie.
not a
It is
60,
what
I
it
know
is.
it's not gonna lie. That's why when you see that, there is not this 60 minutes that I have to prove it. They will
So
see
what happens
when we leave that bank, what time that was at? 2:15? We leave that bank, it takes 30 minutes to get to Doug's house, maybe 25 minutes. We get there at 2:40. There isn't this hour of time that you're talking about. I mean, it's just unbelievable.
Greg, why can't you wrap your mind around the idea that we have a bunch of evidence here? Nikki is dead. And your alibi,
every way I could, but when you are
It's Doug,
starting,
that's it.
when you are starting to accuse me of being involved in this in any way,
And
that's
no one's
offensive.
accused you of being involved.
Yes, you are. You're telling me, oh, it'll make you feel better if you tell us the truth. I've been telling you the truth. I've told you the truth every moment that I've talked to you.
You haven't considered another thing. You haven't considered that maybe you didn't have any involvement in it and maybe Doug disclosed something to you.
Doug disclosed nothing to me. He has kept to his innocence every single time I've talked to him. There's been nothing he has said to me that would indicate to me that he had any involvement in it.
So if he's in custody for murder then he's being framed. That's your position? If Doug was involved in something like this, would he tell you if he had any involvement in it?
And he better not, because if he told me he had any involvement in it, I would tell you guys immediately. Because I have good people that I'm friends with, good people, honest people, friends that I've been friends with forever because we've all been good to each other forever. And if I ever thought that Doug was capable of doing something like this, he would never have been a friend of mine in the first place. If I ever found out that he did something like this, he would never be a friend
Really?
of mine.
He's never hurt a woman before? And you don't know this?
No. And then the next girlfriend that he was with, I would grill her, is he ever doing any of this
Do
shit?
you know Rebecca?
I know Becky, yes.
Oh yeah, she told me today he broke her leg and she covered for him.
Kind of a big deal.
I know. She made that claim.
So it shocks you that Doug would do anything.
So then she's a liar when she made that claim?
She is a little crazy. She is.
And when she
I talked to Danielle told me, you know, that Doug never physically abused her. I talked to
He
her.
broke her leg.
Danielle, this is not Rebecca.
Yeah,
This is
Rebecca.
his ex-girlfriend.
Who
What
broke Rebecca's leg?
She fell down the stairs, supposedly. I know.
And you buy that?
I know.
You buy that his ex-girlfriend fell down the stairs and
I
got a
would like to
broken leg?
think that he would not have been capable of doing something that stupid.
Well, yeah, but what does your cognitive mind tell you? What does common sense tell you?
Becky was crazy. I did know
Okay, so
Becky.
Rebecca was crazy so when she
When he tried to break up with her, his family has money, so when he tried to break up with her, she tried to go after him thinking she could get something out of the family. That's what she did. That's when she filled out those reports. Tell me this, why didn't the police arrest Doug for that? Because she filed the police report and they decided that she was not.
Is that what
That's
Doug
not
told
what
you?
happened.
I mean, that's what I thought happened. Yes.
I mean, is that what Doug told you?
That is what he told me.
Would you be surprised if he didn't tell you the truth? I mean, would that surprise you?
No, it wouldn't.
So it would not surprise you?
It wouldn't
Doug
surprise
deceived
me
you?
if he kept it private and lied to me about that, yes.
So don't let your friend paint you into a corner here.
When you get all the information, you will see that I had nothing.
We're getting information from Doug. And
He
it
knows I had nothing to do with it too.
doesn't mean he has to say that.